Okay, there is a bit of prep work that you need to do with the yarn. We'll call this color 1, color A, I guess, whatever, doesn't matter. What you need to do before, because you don't want it to come out, and to prepare it to carry it up, we need to use some way, whatever works for you. I like these clips for little girls' hair. The little ones or the medium-sized, bigger ones, doesn't matter. But you need to clip the loop that you pull up. So you have a loop, and this is the working yarn. So you clip the loop and the working yarn totally together. And that matters because we're going to work around that, and we need that working yarn to be out and not left back here where you can't work with it. So we are going to get rid of the smaller hook that we used for the outside edges, and we are going to be working again from with the back of the stitches of the row below facing. And for this join, you can, oh goody, yes, alrighty. This is, someone gifted me impeccable, because it's one of the new Pantone colors called Rich Orchid. I know it's not a good match for this, but I figured it would show up pretty well as different from the other stitches. Okay, so we have our end. It's not all tangled any longer. And where we're going to join for this particular method is at one of the other peaks. Doesn't matter, just a different peak than that one. Okay, and this is key. You leave a longish tail, I'd say at least 6 inches. Do not make a knot because it's pretty hard to hide it, because being that we flip back and forth, this is reversible. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our chain 6. So 1, and we're going to take and we're put that tail over and capture it. 2, bring the tail back. 3, bring it over again. 4, 5, and 6. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that tail and we're going to just lay it over your chain there. Okay? So we're going to make our first block into the chain and around that tail. It's a little fiddly, but you get so you can work it pretty easy. And here I like to, if this is much bigger than the others, you can give this a little tug and make it smaller before you start your double crochets. Okay, now I have completed half of my double crochet. I am going to put that tail up over the working yarn and finish my double crochet, and that brings the tail up. And I'm going to bring it up and over and lay it over this chain right there. Okay, and now when I do my, I've done my slip stitch, when I do my first chain, it captures that tail. So that's 2 and 3, and then I'm going to crochet right on over it again. And do the exact same thing again. Up, bring it up, bring it over and capture it. And there you go. And then I like to leave it and come back and sew it in, you know, by going, like actually putting, I don't have a needle with me, but putting the needle in and then threading it through and just going back in one more time into the chain stitches there to lock it down, and then when it, whatever comes out this side I can cut off. Okay, so you basically work these same stitches all the way around, same way as we did for row 3, until we get to till we get over here where we have the other cover 1. So I am going to get off and come back and show you what to do when we get to cover 1. So we are round to color 1, and this is, okay, because this one has not already been carried up, there isn't really anything at this point that we need to do other than be very careful that we have corralled all of color 1 together so that this, because if that gets away from you and ends up down here, you have to rip out, because either that or cut your yarn, sew in the ends, and start over. Okay, so to do this, you need to have your color 2 working yarn below, and you need to take all of color 1 and place it over the color 2 working yarn. That is every bit of it. You need the loop and the working yarn that goes to the ball or the skein. And what we're going to do is we're going to work right around it. First thing we'll do is do our first chain, 2 and 3, and then we are going to work our whole block right around that other yarn. And I'm going to join here and show you that it may be messy and kind of out of whack, and what you do is you just simply scoot those down so that they look like the other side. Now, if there is a big gap there, you are welcome to come back here, and we'll do this before we work around it. It's perfectly okay to add a gap filler. It won't be noticeable, believe me. Okay, I'm going to join that, and now you can adjust this. Whoops. See, there's our loop. We don't want to lose that loop. Okay, what we need to do, get a different hook. It doesn't matter which one. I've got this one over here. That we're going to take, and we're going to gotta have the right angle to pull a loop through. Okay, there. Okay, you have this loop. You need to bring this, we'll call this loop 1 and loop 2. You need to bring loop 1 down so that it's totally encased in these stitches. And to do that, you figure out which one of these does not make this loop bigger. This side of the loop makes it bigger, so we need this other side. And we're just simply going to pull on it, and it helps to hold back here, and just pull on it and bring it down until it goes into the stitches. There. And now you can bring the stitches up a little bit. Okay. And if you are a, what do you want to call it? Okay. My experience has been that that is probably enough to hold it in place as you carry it up. Okay. However, if you really want to secure it, you can do one more. This is the way I was doing it at first. Okay. Don't need that big a loop. And that will definitely lock it in and make it so it's not going to be going anywhere. And then here again, you're just going to take and use your stitch marker of choice and whatever will secure it securely. You don't want this coming out, because if it scoots back down in there, then you have to undo and try it all over again. But you can see here that that is not all that noticeable, that there's an extra stitch there. It's not a big deal. So you are ready to go on all the way around, and you do this last the same way we did with round 3. I'm going to finish this round, and I'm going to find a skein of something around here, and I'm going to show you an alternative way to join a new color. It is one of the ways that I join a new color in a hat, because once you get past a certain point in the hat, we no longer have the peaks. So if you use the peaks and use this method, you're fine. That's all you need. But you're limited then of being able to do 4 colors. If you want the possible option of being able to add more colors, I don't know why you want to do that, but if you're making a large project and you don't want to have to be you know, cutting all those ends and so forth. I mean, technically, I suppose you could be working with 8 or 10 colors, even more. So I will show that, but I'm going to finish this round and then introduce a new color in an optional way. All right, I've gone all the way around. I've clipped the, what did we say, it was rich orchid. And I've come up with this golden yellow color that I think is probably Bernat Super Value. And for this join, you do any but the peaks, okay? You can do it anywhere. And again, we're going to do the long tail, and we're going to do it, I won't explain it, but we'll do it exactly the same way that we did when joining the orchid. So we'll start with the long tail, and for this, in the same hook, for this we're going to join. It does not matter, it could be here, any one of the slip stitches along a side. Doesn't matter what side. I will tell you that my experience has been that, at least with a hat, sometimes the more times you carry it up, the more rows, it seems to travel. And I did in one project have 2 yarns cross. That was kind of interesting. So long tail, just pull up the loop, no knots, because it's really hard to hide them. And again, okay, for this, we need to make a chain that is going to be big enough, long enough to go into there without pulling. Okay, normal chain when you're working this way later on in the other rows would probably be, I'm going to tighten that down a little bit so it's the same size, would probably be 3 very pretty small chains. There's our loop that was on the hook, and then 3 chains, and that seems about right. But because we need to corral that tail and work over it, we have made our first chain, and now we're going to take and loop it over into and do chain 2 and chain 3 and bring it up here and slip stitch, and we have actually corralled the tail. Now we're going to do our chain 3, and we are going to work our normal stitches. Come on. Let's try this again. Normal stitches. Get part way done with that final one, put it over, and then finish the double crochet and bring the bring the chain up, do our slip stitch, chain 2, 3, and work over it again. Oops, and I forgot to do that, so do it one more time. I like to work over it at least 3 times. And since we're up there, I guess we're not going to be working over it 3 times. So it's a little bit longer tail, and I can bring it down and weave it back under there, and it will be secure. So we are up here, and I don't want to deal with it up here. So we will do our normal block. And again, this color has not been carried up, so it's rather simple to work over this one. And when you work these projects, you end up a lot of times doing acrobatics with the yarn. There. Okay, so the yellow needs to be under. The orchid needs to have all of the yarn, including that going to the I probably need to go out, don't I? Okay, let's go out just a little bit more. There. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get the table set the same way it was before. Okay. So we have all of the yarn, the orchid, over the yellow working yarn. Do our first chain, 2 and 3, and then we work around, doing our normal block with 3 stitches, join, and come back, and you can pull it into place. You can wait to do this until after you finish the round, or you can mess with it and make sure it looks right. Decide whether or not you want extra yellow stitch there. Might have been good to have one. We'll experiment and see if just putting one. So I've never noticed this before on projects. Let's try just putting one in here. See if that looks okay. Oops. Kind of messy, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Oops, it's going to come apart. Get it back on there so we have it corralled. Okay. The orchid over the yellow. Come on. Oh yeah, I think that's going to look better. Either way. And it probably won't be noticeable to other people if you just leave that gap. 2 and 3, and our 3 stitches. Join, and then come back and pull this into position better. There. Okay. Oh yeah, that's much better. Gap isn't very big. Okay, and now you just simply, this is loop 1 here. That's going all the way down. And so we just need to bring this through and find the one that's attached to loop 1. And I like to hold back down here and pull it down until it hides inside. And you have the stitches the right height for what you want. And again, if you want to do that extra loop, feel free. It basically makes, oops, gotta pull the right one. And you can pull that one until it goes down into there. And then make it the right length to clip off. And we're good to go on around. And work with this one. This one's already done off. It's already set, so you just do the same thing that you just did here to get it set. And you continue on around doing the exact same thing as you did on round 3 or row 3 with when you get to the other peaks that don't have another color. And I will go on around and show you what you do to join when you use this way to introduce a new color. So I've completed the round, and I've gone all the way around, and this is, I should back up here. There's the peak there, and I've joined. I'm going to do a normal corner to corner block. There's 3. And you go, oh, but what do I do about that chain? You ignore it. It just kind of fills a gap, and it's not noticeable. It's the same color as the yarn of the round. The only key is, like I say, you're ignoring that chain. You are going to join into the slip stitch where you join the chain to that first block there. So, okay, and again, I like to join, whoops, this way. And you go, okay, but what happens on the next round? Where do you put this yarn? Well, you can tighten that down there so it's not noticeable. And you're going to clip it just like you did the others. Right here. And it is going to lay over when you get to it. In fact, it's probably a good idea, so you don't ignore it and keep going, is to actually clip it right to that block. Because I have a couple of times just kept going and went, oh, wait a minute, you know, I've got yarn hanging there that I need to carry up. But it gets carried up over this chain. So I will start with this one, because here we are at the back. I will start with this one and show you what to do. There's only a couple to... Okay, this is what you do when you want to... It's already been locked down, and you want to use it for the next round. Just pull it down It's probably better to actually have your hook in there while you're pulling it down. Pull it down onto the hook the way it needs to be. Do your chain 6. What do we have? I wasn't counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. And yeah, okay. I twisted it so it looks different. Maybe I should not twist it. Let's try that. Yeah. Try it again here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3. And we make our first block just like normal. And here again, we have to get the yarn untangled. So otherwise, one yarn drags on another and the tension doesn't work very well. So there we go. So we have our first block. We attach it. Oh, and I should point out that when I did, which one was it? Okay, that one I did 6. Okay, that's one of the ones I adjusted because we were just beginning. I think it was when I did this blue, yes. When I did the blue, I did not feel that I needed that extra stitch, and I think it was because this had already been carried up, and so there wasn't that big gap there. So I just did it normal, and it looks just fine. So let's go back here and do the next 1, 2, and 3, and so we've done that. Oh, here. This would have been an easy thing to do. Let's just bring this up here and work over it a final time. Since we'd only done it twice, and just have to get my working yarn there. Get that over and work my, come on, I don't want it over the yarn, I want it over the chain. There we go. There. I think I'm going to have to tug on it at the end. It wants to flop around. Okay. I can pull on it. It's secure. Okay, I'm up here and I'm ready to do... No, I have one more. 2 and 3. Okay, now before I join, I want to, it's really good to make sure that you don't have this all twisted up. It makes it hard to pull that loop if it's twisted. So you need to make it so it's as neat as possible. And clip that back. And we're going to come on over and do our slip stitch. And then we're just going to do our chain 3 and work around not only the chain but the loop and the working yarn. Okay, there's 3. We're gonna do it there and show you that it's real easy to bring it back into. Okay, now, and for this one I usually only do just the one, we'll call them a knot, okay? And you get back where it's originating from and pull it into place. And I don't feel with this one in particular because these stitches are anchored down better than the ones that are going up and down. These can move more easily than these can. And so I feel that that's enough. If you want to do that second loop and make a real knot there, go for it. Perfectly fine. So bring it back into and clip it, and it's all set. And the next round, when you come back around, it's going to be folded over. Oops, everything's twisted. There we go. It's going to be going up and over this one, and so we will clip it down to that. So it's a reminder when you come back around. And it doesn't matter, even if you're doing, if you're back to, like if the next round we did the turquoise or whatever, the teal, I guess, teal. If you did the teal, you would still bring this up and work over both of the colors together and then secure it with the, secure the loop and go on. So you've got that done, and you just simply continue with your color, just like in round 3, with everything except when you come to a new color. And that is the basics of working the inside out, corner to corner, square. I've shown you how to even off those edges. I will say that whatever color you are using for that very outside round, it is quite important that you use that same color for the evening off round. So just my take on it, and it seems to work best to do that. So, because it looks awkward when you do the evening off round with a different color. I didn't like it. You could try it. It's your project. You can try it, but I suggest it looks better to me if this were the final round of this square, if you use the orchid to do the evening off. And I will also point out, if at any time, say maybe you're working a scrap project, if you are getting to the point where you're near the end of a skein and you know you're not going to use it in any more rounds, it's perfectly fine to at that point cut the yarn and, you know, weave the end over to where it can be worked over and go on from there. The other thing I'd like to point out is if I continue this, and I've got 3 pretty good sized skeins here, so let's say I was going to do this until, you know, I ran out of one of them, I can keep going, and unless there's a knot in one of these skeins, because I don't leave knots in, I would end up at the end of this project having only 2 tails to weave in per color. I have 3 colors, so I would have 6 tails to weave in because of being able to carry up the colors. So it makes it a really simple project that way. But here we've got all of these rounds, and we can continue until we run out of yarn, and still, unless there's a knot, we're going to be a-okay to just have to weave in 2 ends per skein. And it's one of the things I like about this project. So that is the inside out corner to corner square, or also corner to corner in the round. Could also be a way to describe it. And I hope you enjoyed this project.